So welcome everyone to the Talking Heads podcast, powered by Buckinghamshire Business First. It's a podcast that explores what makes Buckinghamshire the entrepreneurial heart of Britain through conversations with local business leaders and personalities. I'm Hiren Gandhi. I'm a partner at Blaze Mills Law. We're a firm of about 150 people spread across the Thames Valley. And I'm also Vice Chairman of Buckinghamshire Business First. Just a little bit about BBF and Buckinghamshire Business First. It's an organisation made up of a business community of over 15,000 businesses, and it has an impressive track record of securing millions of pounds worth of investments to support businesses in the community. Just a little plug for BBF. They're currently in the middle of a campaign called Be Part of Something Bigger, and this is geared towards bringing the business community together and sharing knowledge and collaborating, and hopefully you'll be part of that too. I'm joined today by David Finch. He is Managing Director at Purple Frog. Welcome, David.
Hi, Hiren.
Hi, morning. First thing, if you can just tell us a bit about Purple Frog, what your role is and what the business is all about.
I can indeed. Purple Frog's been around since 1999. It's almost like last century. Quite hard to believe. We exist really for want of a better description, to keep brands remarkable. So we focus on business consulting, marketing consulting, and really helping brands, whether they're startups or whether they're established brands, understand how they keep themselves in the eye of the ideal customer, the consumer, the client, whatever it is in their particular world. And we do that through helping them build more robust strategies, through to building creative campaigns that basically activate the strategy for them.
Very interesting, and music to my ears, because I oversee the marketing and BD function at the law firm as well. So I'm heavily involved in the branding, the purpose, the values, and everything else. I mean, we know each other from previous to this podcast, and we were chatting the other day about focusing on the outside rather than the inside. It'd be interesting to hear your views on that.
Okay, yes, this is quite interesting because if you Google branding, a lot of the time it comes out, a lot of people talking about branding from the inside out. So it really focuses on the values within a corporation, within a business, the values it has, and homing those to build a brand, which you then push out into the marketplace. I fundamentally think that's wrong. And I think that's wrong because the most important thing that a brand has is the value it creates for the people it looks to serve. So that's its customers, that's its prospective customers, that's people who can solve problems for, or need or want, desire, whatever that is that somebody's got, then the brand needs to be focused on that. So I believe, and at Purple Frog we believe, it's about understanding the value you create. So why are you valued? So that's the outside, telling you what they value about you, and then you using that information, and we call them remarkability pillars, and they're basically built around emotional feelings. But it's how you make somebody feel that counts, not what you do and how you did it. It's how you make them feel. So it's the outcome, and do you make them feel good, confident, happy, secure, whatever it is in your world. And if you imagine those sitting at the top of a Roman Colosseum, and they're the pillars at the top, and that's the outside talking to you. And then if you think about those emotions, those values coming down to the inside team. Now, I'm not saying you can't have your own values as a business. Of course, you should have your values as a business. But what you should be doing is understanding why you're valued and reflecting those in your values. So your team and everybody in the business communicates what's valued back to the customer at every stage of their, and I hate the word journey, but we'll stick with journey, but every stage of their journey through the buying experience, whether it's marketing or delivery.
So obviously that's a concept that goes against the grain. How have you found educating your clients about that, and how have they receive that?
This is the bit we call remarkability. So people understand that they don't want to be an unremarkable brand. And there's two types of remarkability. There's good remarkability, because people talk about you in positive, glowing terms. And then there's bad remarkability, when people just moan about you all the time because you don't deliver what you promised. And it's really amazing when you think about a lot of the businesses that are out there that have scaled quite quickly. I can think of many in the broadband space, for argument's sake, who spend a lot of the time acquiring clients and customers, but don't actually deliver the service that they've promised in the first place. And that comes back to the concept of unique selling points, which I think is another flawed concept, because nothing's unique, and most businesses are pretty much doing what everybody else does, and therefore they come up with gimmicks which they can't deliver on because they're not a proper brand promise. So that's what we talk about remarkability. And the remarkability is this bit which is the value that you create in your customers' eyes that you talk about. Because if you create value for them and they love it, why wouldn't other people want to be engaged and love that value as well?
So it sounds to me like service underpins everything.
Correct.
Without service, you don't have a brand.
Without service, you do not have a brand at all.
And who do you think's doing it well at the moment? What brands stand out to you as the ones that are kind of pioneering the space at the moment?
Well, I think an obvious one from just where they grew from nothing 20 odd years ago to one of the biggest companies in the world is Amazon. And I know lots of people go, oh, Amazon, we wouldn't use them, we don't like this, whatever. But fundamentally, they were remarkable because they changed the way we expected things to be delivered. They didn't leave you hanging around for the whole day. They organised your stuff being delivered the next day or when you wanted it at a time that seemed to be able to suit you. And then they've just developed that further and further. So most people thought of them as a bookstore. I'd say they were just a brilliant delivery company that nailed what the consumer wanted.
Yeah.
Another one which I often reference so it's completely different in the way it works is Naked Wines.
Yeah.
So they've created something of a community whereby, I mean, you pay a monthly subscription in, and then that's like a little bank vault, and you're known as a wine angel. People start thinking I drink lots of wine. But you're known as a wine angel, then you get to be able to pick wines that you've helped grow. So they basically invest in independent growers with the money that you've given them. So you get better price on the wines that are, quite unique, very nice. But they've done the same thing about building a community.
Yeah.
So it's a remarkable way of going out building a business.
Yeah, it's been interesting you picked on those two businesses. So Amazon have clearly evolved from their early stages and what they were doing in a narrow sense to something a lot bigger. And Naked Wines have, I guess, picked up on society's attitudes in this current time, and I guess tugged on their heartstrings of doing something for the wider good. Do you think that businesses need to continue and evolve, and their brand needs to evolve accordingly?
100%. You can't stay still. You've got to. So I think one of the interesting things is people talk about growth, and when they talk about growth, they think they've got to get bigger. Whereas actually, what growth means is understanding where you should be in the marketplace today. So growth could be changing from one type of business to another type of business. So just using another example is Philips. I used to have a Philips telly, and they did all sorts of bulbs and lighting and whatever. They sold their consumer electronics division. They've floated their lighting division away. They're a health company now. They make tech for health to improve patient outcomes. Yet beforehand, you'd have seen them in every curry store. Now you don't.
Yeah.
So that's growth. They haven't got any bigger. They've just grown their business to be still sustainable and effective in a modern world.
And it's very interesting that you're talking about brand in a much more holistic way. I mean, I speak to a lot of businesses and they think of brand as a logo and a website, and that's pretty much it.
I know. It's and part of that, it's the way things have evolved over time. Marketing and I'll call it a profession because it is, but it's low cost entry. And because it's fragmented over the last 20 years, because there's so many different angles to it now, that everybody's ended up associating, oh, my website designer's just done me a logo, that's my brand. And so just think of identity in the same way that they think marketing is promotion, whereas marketing isn't. In reality, the CMO should be the CEO.
Yeah.
Because marketing is holistic throughout the whole of the business. It impacts price, it impacts what products you should be taking to market or services you should be taking to market. And it impacts the audience you're going to try and take to, so that's the people. So all those bits are fundamental, but they seem to be done in silos in most businesses, and then marketing are told to, well, we've done this, promote this. And that's why much of marketing fails. It doesn't create a return on investment because everybody looks at it in counting numbers. So they look at it, or if I spend £100,000 a day, I need to make more than that this year. It's a long-term investment to make a return. And the one thing that's never counted in the numbers is the way the data is actually all about understanding how people interact with you.
Mm.
So it's not about numbers all the time. It's about your message. How strong is your message? Did this message work or that message work?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think as important as the external message and brand is the internal message and brand as well. What are you telling your people, and what are your people then promoting about the firm to their friends, their peers, their family, how they perceive the firm in terms of workplace, and that all links into the external as well, doesn't it?
It does, and I think that's brand can't just be left to the marketing department, and it's often done because that's just seemed to be the logo, the corporate guidelines of you can't put our logo anywhere near this, and the font's got to be X, Y, and Z. They're all really important because that's consistency. That's the McDonald's approach of consistency. That's why people go into McDonald's, because they know they're going to get the same thing wherever. So I get so that's really, really important, their brand. But unless you have an alignment of the whole team, the whole business buying into what the purpose of the business is and what value you're giving to your clients and your customers, either a product or a service, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got to believe that, because otherwise it won't get delivered.
So how often do you think a business should be reviewing their brand and values and ethos?
It's almost a continuous. You don't go to the nth degree. I mean, you build yourself a robust strategy. You test that strategy by running tactics, most of which you will find don't work. So you give up on them rather than keep bashing it with a sledgehammer, and you find you're wasting more money.
Mm.
But in today's world, it's fast moving. You can't be not reviewing it on an annual basis and seriously challenging it maybe every 3 years.
Yeah. See, I've heard the stats that you should be changing your website every 2 to 3 years. Do you buy into that?
Treat your website like a human being. It's living, breathing. It's your shop front. It's everything. It's like your salespeople talking to somebody or your marketing team talking to somebody. Treat it as though you've got to train it and nurture it every week. You don't have to build it, leave it, and redo it in 3 years' time. In 3 years' time, it should have evolved into something different anyway, because it should be reacting to what your understanding of data is telling you.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's when you leave a website stagnant for a period of time, that's when you run into problems. If you're continually reviewing it, evolving it, changing it, I don't think you necessarily need to change it every 2 to 3 years. I think naturally it will evolve.
Correct. It will reflect the value that you're currently giving to people. Whereas too many people, even today, websites are they're too focused on the word we. I always think it's fascinating that some people in the marketing industry, their website handle is "we are," and whatever their name is, and I just think, wow, what a strange URL. It's all about you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the client and the customer is lost, isn't it, in all of that?
Yes, and I think if everybody remembers that when somebody's landing on your website, they've invariably been referred. They've searched you on Google, so they've been looking for a specific solution, answer to a problem, or whatever it is. When they come onto your website, what they've got to do is they've got to feel the bit that hooked them there and brought them there is that story's continuing, and it's not. I mean, how many times do you click on something on Google and then you end up on somebody's homepage and it's nothing to do with what you clicked on?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on that, have you ever come across a client where actually the words are good and what they claim they can do are good, and then when you've got under the bonnet, it's not all that? And how have you tackled that, I guess?
I think the interesting thing with that, gosh, it's going to sound terrible, isn't it? I think most people, when they write, as websites evolve, they're written invariably internally, and they're written from the perspective of the people who are sitting inside the business and writing the copy and so forth. And that, by its very nature, means the way they talk will be wrong. So they've almost got to, when they write something, pretend they're the customer, they're the client, they're the user of the product or the service, and phrase what they're doing so it sounds like it's solving the problem of the person that they want to be talking to, rather than it being, it is that classic, isn't it? I get if it's a product, we all want to see a little bit about product specifications to make sure if it's a washing machine, it'll fit or whatever it is. But in reality, and especially if we think about B2B, it's all about relationships. So you're building trust before somebody decides to pick the phone up.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the absolute key, isn't it? It's someone coming to your shop window has a problem. Now, you need to tell them why you can fix their problem and why you can fix their problem better than the guys next door.
Correct. 100%. But it's also, I'm a great believer in humility. So it's about blowing your own trumpet and expressing your expertise, but in a way which enables people to feel comfortable to want to speak to you about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's particularly true in professional services. I think it's actually really hard in professional services because there's so many people doing the same thing. So how would you pick one law firm from another, or one accountant from another?
Absolutely. On that thread, I read an interesting blog of yours the other day with a very interesting title, Alpacas and Cows. Can you tell me a bit more about, and the listeners a bit more about that?
Yes, well, because people wouldn't have read it. I mean, the simple premise was that, and because I could tell it quite quickly, and I think we've got a bit of time. Walking through a field, I went past some alpacas, and they didn't move. They spat a bit, but they didn't move. But the point is, they weren't really interested in me or anything around me. I walked through the same field, and there were sheep in there. And the minute one of them ran away, they all ran away. And then if I go to the same field, the cows, they're always either blocking the entrance or the exit, or even if they're not, they then come trundling over to find out. And the concept behind that blog was that if your marketing messaging it will never attract alpacas. So if it's bland, unremarkable, it'll just be ignored. If your marketing does what everybody else's does and attracts what effectively sheep, so if you upset one of them, you may think this is going really great, but then you upset one of them, they'll disappear and go. So all the money you spent has been wasted. And a classic example of that is not doing your customer experience as well. So you might bring loads of people in, but then they'll go and tell their friends that the service is rubbish. Whereas if you attract cows, they're curious. They want to understand more. So you can have very compelling messaging, which is such that it encourages people to find out more. And people who are curious are the people who are going to be your best advocates once they're experienced the fantastic service that you offer.
What a fantastic analogy that is. I think we're almost out of time, but before we leave, one last question for you. Can you give your top 3 tips for anyone who's starting a business and trying to create a brand?
Oh, so as a startup, I think the most important thing is to have a real clear vision as to what it is you're trying to achieve for the people that you want to serve. And I think that's important definition. It's not what you're going to build that you're going to sell. It's what you're going to create that serves others. And that applies across services and products. You can do it equally the same. So I think it's a different mindset, because too many people are experts at what they do and then spend lots of money. And believe me, I've made the same mistake. You spend lots of money and then find that the people that you thought were going to like it don't. So that's one of the things I do. The second I would do is really focus your mind on the emotional value that you're going to create. So how do you want people to feel when they use your product or buy your service? And then thirdly, I would suggest they focus on trying to build their own book of remarkability. And we haven't got time to talk what that is, but maybe another time I can explain.
That sounds like a whole can of worms right there. So thank you for that insight, David, and appreciate your time today. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and see you next time on Talking Heads.
Thanks, Hiren. Been a pleasure.